always a little bit slower around that turn than I think it has to be, but can't fault it for being safe. So I love that right there. So it did stop, but as it got closer to the stop sign, it knew that it already stopped once, so it didn't stop again. It was like, okay, we're good. Well, we really flew over that hump.
I was wondering.
And always, I've commented on some of my earlier videos, like those speed humps will be like notorious in my videos because it always flies over them. I don't know if they're just. It's not hard to see. There's a sign. There's arrows on it.
And that one was better. The other one.
No, we almost went airborne. Yeah, the most recent versions, like the past 2 weeks, 12.5, it just feels like a human driver. You tell me. You'll be in this video. You tell me how human this feels by the time we get to Chick-fil-A.
Okay. So you don't have your hands on the wheel at all?
No. My feet aren't on the pedals. The camera right here is watching my face to make sure that I'm paying attention. Otherwise, it'll start flashing and tell me to keep my eyes on the road. Yeah, I would say the previous version, 12.3, felt very much like a brand new driver, like someone who just got their learner's permit or maybe just barely got their license but still a new driver. This version feels like a seasoned driver.
And what one is this one?
12.5. 12.5 was a big change. And it's now fully AI driven. So they've retired the actual lines of code that they manually put in. I wonder what it's going to do here, because there's literally no room. There's literally no room, Tesla. There's literally no room. Okay, I'm going to have to take over for that because, you know what? Failure. We're going to... That's what these videos are for. That's a failure, because we can't get by. I have to wait. I wonder if I could back up right into here. We're going to keep the video rolling for a minute. We'll wait. Actually, no, you got a place to be. Let's go another way. All right, we're going to mark that as failure number 1. Cannot navigate that. Human would have stopped back, seeing that they couldn't go through.
I mean, if you looked at the camera, it didn't even show that they were like in the lane. It showed that it was just like in our lane. It showed that they were in the opposite lane.
I can tell you what would have happened is it would have gotten up close. It would not have navigated around it because it would have gone on the median. It probably would have backed up on its own, but since you got places to be right now, we don't have time to let it work itself out.
They're always doing work over there. It's sad because sometimes if I'm like running late to work and in the morning, I'm like, there's seriously like 10 trucks over here, and it's like turns into like a 1-lane road, and I gotta wait. I've never been this way,
Me either.
Of course, I've never had
Sees the person.
Completely stopped.
Yeah, it's a yield. That's a good point. That was a yield, and either it stopped because it didn't recognize that, or it just wanted to be sure. I mean, I'm not going to dock it points for stopping at a yield, but
no, I mean, there's no problem with that.
But you're right, that was a little bit less human because we both would have rolled.
I would have rolled straight.
See, that's the thing. It always stops back from the sign, but then it can't see, and then it's got to creep forward. Someone commented on one of my videos that that's required by the National Highway Safety Board or something. I don't know if it is. Makes sense.
What's the purpose of that?
To come to a complete stop first, with some appropriate distance between you and the stop line in case there's pedestrians or bikes or something.
Oh, okay.
But then once you've made that stop, you creep forward and look and go.
Okay. Assisted
That's an
bicycling.
old school BMX. Man, that's like from the 80s. Stuff I would watch in the movie Rad. People flipping their bikes around and doing tricks.
He's cruising on that thing. Definitely gets up to speed really quick from a complete stop. Like, I know that's how the vehicle's made, but I'm just talking about the self-driving.
Well, it goes by the setting that I have. So there's two settings in this car, being the all-wheel drive with two motors. There's the chill acceleration, which softens it, and then there's standard, which is this, which feels almost like a catapult. And then if you have the performance Model 3, it has a third option for insane acceleration, and that's the one that can do like 0 to 60 in like, I don't know, 2 point something seconds.
Wow.
And just take off like a rocket. Interesting thing though, the full self-driving seems a little bit harder on the acceleration and even a little bit harder on the brakes. Instead of always using the regen braking, it seems to do some kind of like late braking and having to use the brake pedal. So I think self-driving uses the brake pedal more than I do.
Really?
Yes, because if I want to use all the regen braking, so I'm not wearing down the brake pads. So I might come to a stop a little sooner using that. But I feel like with full self-driving, it's very assertive in all modes, and like it'll like brake a little bit later. Like here, I would already be braking. It is regen, but whenever this bar goes like a little bit gray under the green, that's when it's applying the actual brake pads. What?
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. So my foot touched the brake, but I didn't apply the brake. I was right about to cut off the self-driving, but it did stop.
So it did.
It wanted to go.
That was.
It wanted to go.
That was the self-driving brake right there.
It did.
Okay.
But I was nervous. I did like
yeah,
literally.
I thought it was gonna go.
I could feel the pedal. Look, it's already turning the wheel. And it's, you see that little inch forward and the light's red? Like, that's a very human thing to do.
Yeah.
Because if it were pure computer, it wouldn't do anything till the light was green.
Nah, yeah.
But like it was like sensing, I think, based on the traffic patterns that the light was about to turn, and it felt like it inched forward and was starting to turn the wheel. Like, I don't think you can program that. Like, you only get that from watching humans drive.
That's how it learns. So, I guess my question is, like, every day when people are driving with the self-driving and there's issues that go on and they report them, do all like the AI learn from that?
It's supposed to. We do. Yeah, I can supply feedback whenever I disengage. I don't know if it's immediate. I had someone comment on like my last video about one of the turns where I think it gets in the wrong turn lane based on where I'm going, like if I'm going to Kroger. And the commenter said, well, why don't you report it? And I was like, I actually have reported this a couple times before. And it's still making the same, I wouldn't call it a mistake. It's just not the best way to navigate that. So it may learn over time. I don't think it takes like one user's input one time and changes for everyone.
But I just meant like in the long term, they'll
yes, in the long term, they take all the feedback to improve the model.
Is that based where you are geographically, or just how it navigates in the whole?
No, anyone with a Tesla with full self-driving can submit feedback.
So just like not appropriate, like turn lanes, I guess.
Yeah, you can provide up to 10 seconds of a voice recording to tell them what happens, and I don't even know if a human reviews it or if the AI reviews it. Like, listens to the speech and figures out what you're saying and tries to apply it. some of the secret sauce I don't think they're willing to share with anyone. Interesting, it shows two lights. Oh, it does show the third light. It's got these two lights. There's actually three, it's only showing two. And it's flickering like it's seeing a light, but it's really not. I don't put too much stock in the graphic though, because I know the computer's doing way more. This is just for our benefit as humans, but it's doing way more calculations than what we can visualize.
This is the third one now.
I can tell you it always wants to go on the exit, so I have to stop it and take it into the correct. So I forced that issue with self-driving. Oh, look at that. Picked the wrong lane to go through the intersection. Tell you what, 12.5.1.3 is the current version I'm on. In a little bit of trouble today. Again, I wouldn't say any kind of safety issue at all. Just some interesting choices. Almost like a human driver that's sometimes distracted on navigation. Maybe it's a navigation issue with 12.5.1.3 specifically. I don't know. Like I was saying, when I came out of that parking lot, the car in front of me was wanting to go, and they were yielding to me since I was turning right, and Tesla, the full self-driving, was going to do the thing it normally does, stopping back and then pulling up. It's almost like a routine it does for every stop, which, while I can appreciate, that's the part where it's not human, or at least it doesn't. This is the part that I really like to emphasize on my channel. What's it like to drive with a Tesla in real life? In real life, these programmed stops are great if everyone's doing them. If everyone had a Tesla with full self-driving, you wouldn't feel that tension in a situation like that. But knowing that the other side was a human driver, and the Tesla's over here, like, stopping early in front of the stop sign and then wanting to creep up into his normal look, like, that guy was waiting for me to go. He was actually kind of passively yielding the right of way to me and waiting for me to go. I knew he was waiting, so I pressed the accelerator to keep the Tesla moving forward, even though it was trying to do its normal stop and look thing. And it did go through. I didn't have to disengage, but I did have my foot on the accelerator, and it was, you could probably see the video, the steering wheel was freaking out a little bit. It was like shaking or like trying to make its turn, and it almost felt like we were in a struggle. Like I was forcing it to do something it didn't want to do. It did go through the intersection, but then it ended up in the wrong lane. If I'll highlight it again, but the navigation said to go forward, and it was in a left turn only lane, and I was hoping it would catch itself, but it didn't. Maybe it would have caught itself like as it was going through the intersection, but that would have felt unsafe to me. So I disengaged at that point. I thought this would be a uneventful trip up the street, but it certainly has been very eventful, and I guess the camera's trying to get a better view. I'll trust the camera system. Yeah, had a little bit better view than I did. That was clear. Also, I will note the cameras are mainly clear. I mean, there's like some light dust that falls from the trees and stuff on the car this morning. I did not go around every camera and make sure it was completely clear. I assumed it was. The car's not very dirty, but I'll have to check on that. Yep, gun it, gun it. There we go. Sorry, I was interrupted by two calls there, but point being is, as human as this feels, and it really does feel human. This 12513 feels like a very seasoned driver that, like on this road where the truck was, like it, I should have seen that one coming, right? It makes me wonder how far ahead it's looking, and maybe it's varying that based on the speed. Um, because I'm looking way down the road, maybe at the low speed, it was not looking as far. Um, but anyone could have missed that. Sorry, babe, but my wife could have been driving down the road and just maybe glancing off to the side, not noticing it, and then found herself pinched between the lane and the truck. It's I wouldn't say it's a black mark on the FSD record, but yeah, I would have expected to see that because I saw it ahead of time. Yeah, the infamous speed humps. It did slow down for that one. I'll tell you what, though, very capable. I said it earlier in this video to my son, and I've said it before. I literally use full self-driving to go everywhere when I'm in my Tesla. Um, I don't always record it if I have my younger children in here, but I use it every day. When I get into my van and it can't drive me, I tell the first thing I do is I make a joke to my wife, like, "Why isn't the van driving me where I need to go?" Um, become very spoiled by it, and it's very fun and definitely feels like the future. All right, we'll cut the video here and see you in the next one.